amid a lot of talk of differences within the AIADMK, of the EPS and OPS factions fighting it out, does that mean advantage Sasikala?
Not at all. Before that, are you really sure that Priyamada is a journalist? Because she's articulating better than Saravanan.
Oh, come on, Mr. Muralidharan. Come on, let's not do that. Come on.
Light away.
Go ahead, yes.
I mean, she's been bashing us. She's been complaining about so much of, infighting. Huh?
No, I want.
No, I'm going to let Priyamada respond. Yes, Priyamada.
No, Priyamada, I said, in fact, I complimented you.
For and against ADMK and DMK. Mr. Saravanan would say, how many articles I've written against DMK? So please do not make such allegations.
I think what's very clear is that both the AIADMK and DMK will fire the charge at you, Priyamada. So we should just let that go. Muralidharan, go ahead.
No, it was in light away in anyway. Okay. Sure. Now, coming back, so much of infighting, as you guys are, saying, it's nothing like that, in a show of strength. So in fact, the Sasikala show, and if you should go back a few weeks ago of what Mr. Gurumurthy, the famous, media person and auditor had to say, that he was waiting for Ganga Jal, which was Rajinikanth, and which he in case could not get it. Then he brought in, Sasikala. It was such a demeaning statement, but that showed BJP's desperation to bring in somebody to make an issue out of nothing so that they get some bargaining power with the ADMK. Today, ADMK is in such a position that BJP is not even able to ask few seats for themselves in the coming election. Though we are in alliance, it's so unfortunate. So this is what you need to understand. So whatever the show which is happening with Sasikala, there could be a hand of, BJP who's trying to woo her. But as far as ADMK is concerned, I think we are pretty much confident. We are in a place like things like Ajinkya Rahane, the standby, Chief Minister Mr. Edappadi has proved himself for the past few years, and he is in a good position to take on DMK, who actually don't have any issues right now to speak about in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, so, as we speak, these are the live visuals from the memorial, and you see EPS and OPS standing side by side there. As far as the optics go, the AIADMK doing all it takes to show that they're a united front. And that's why EPS is flanked on his right by the Deputy Chief Minister O Panneerselvam, even as several cabinet ministers are coming in, paying their tributes to Jayalalithaa. So the memorial being unveiled there, dot 11, you had the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister reaching there, all leaders paying a floral tribute. And this is perhaps an attempt by the AIADMK to issue a reminder of sorts that they will not steer away from Jayalalitha's legacy, from what she stood for as far as her policies are concerned. EPS and OPS seem to be getting ready to make their way out of the memorial as well, greeting the crowds there. But interesting, Priyamada, how both the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister walking side by side at every point in that memorial. This is all about optics. It's a message that they are trying to send across, that we're a united front.
Absolutely. That is the need of the hour too for the ADMK to show that both EPS and OPS are working in tandem and they have to be together. And that's exactly what both of them are doing. As I said, at least 10 days back, I'm sure things were resolved between both of them and they have started coming out together for the campaigns, making all the public appearances. But today is going to be very, very important because AMK, however, as Mr. Lakshmanan pointed out, there are two things, right? Like Sasikala coming out and claiming rights for the ADMK because there is still a case pending in the Madras High Court about her General Secretary post and her membership as well in the ADMK party. But that is quite unlikely immediately. But then she would continue to do the role from AMK. And I would also agree with Mr. Muralidharan when he said that BJP is probably indirectly trying to woo, or I would say probably to instigate Sasikala as well, because they also need the bargaining power with the ADMK. The show of strength, I would say, is not just for the for AMK or Sasikala, but it is also to BJP to tell them you cannot be the boss. We know that sources were telling us that BJP has been demanding 60 to 70 seats from the ADMK, but with the show of strength, that's the reason why lakhs and lakhs of cadres have come there to show their support to ADMK. The two-leaf symbol is obviously bigger, and ADMK is a bigger bigger and a stronger party. And that's the reason why EPS and OPS want to stay together till the elections are over. I would still say that a lot of drama awaits Tamil Nadu politics after the elections.
But will that drama translate to a rift within the AIADMK? We've seen Narayan attempts by OPS time and again to try and brew trouble within the AIADMK, to try and show that he's still a powerful figure, a factor that could lead to problems for the AIADMK. It, however, hasn't really led to an all-out rebellion against EPS. Why do you think that is? Is EPS seen now as the true leader of AIADMK, and has he cemented his position there?
Look, Akshita, we must remember that unlike the DMK, the ADMK did not have an orderly succession plan, a business continuity plan, in a sense, after the passing of Jayalalithaa. While after the passing of Karunanidhi, Stalin was neatly anointed the leader and all the party cadres fell in line behind him, even though there was a challenge from his brother Aragiri. In the case of Jayalalithaa, it was a lot of infighting and conflict and factional politics after her passing. And with Sasikala, with 3TV Dinakaran, with OPS and EPS clashing, and EPS having to prove himself. Now, he finally did do that. And he has proved himself in the strongest way possible, because he proved himself in terms of governance, bringing good policies to the people of Tamil Nadu in areas that was needed, negotiating successfully with the central government where needed to get resources. He has delivered in those regards, and therefore his credentials as a governing leader are very strong going into this 2021 election. However, having said that, the party continues to be haunted by the fact that it did not have a succession plan, and that can be actually laid at the feet of Jayalalithaa herself. She deliberately degraded many rungs of leadership below her during her reign, because that was her governing style. And so today you continue to have this situation of factionalism. That is why on your channel and other channels we're discussing whether Sasikala will stake a claim, whether Dinakaran will make an impact, whether EPS and OPS will have a split. And that, I think, is going to continue to play out. Even if they manage to survive this election and win, I feel that over time, good governance alone will not guarantee the success of EPS. He will have to do something far more radical to concentrate power in his own hands, the same way that Jayalalithaa did.
Especially because he's not seen as someone who is a ruler with an iron fist, which has been the AIADMK's legacy, really. Look at Dr. MGR, Jayalalithaa. These were leaders who were legends, who really ruled with such an iron fist that there was no question of anyone else coming in, challenging their leadership, etc., as we're seeing right now. But, you know, when you talk about this perspective of Jayalalitha's legacy, Mr. Muralidharan, that's where the question of Sasikala comes in. The fact that Jayalalithaa, that Amma never really named anyone as her heir, but the fact that Sasikala was someone who seemed so close to her. And while, you know, she was never in the fore when it came to political events, everyone knew that she had a huge role when it came to political decisions taken by Jayalalithaa as well. That's why today she is referred to as Chinnamma.
No, let me answer that. If we go back, you know, probably a decade or two, when Mr. MGR, you know, passed away, there was no legacy announced even that point of time. It was, you know, MGR's wife, Mrs. Janaki Ramachandran, who tried to, you know, reclaim his legacy, and she failed. And that's when, you know, Jayalalithaa took over. The party was, you know, waiting for her to take over because party was in shambles, and she showed them the path, and she succeeded, like, you know, always she's been. See, she has been an accidental actor. She's been an accidental politician. But she was a good, very good, she was a class topper in, I think, Sacred Heart when she was in the school. After that, she was, you know, accidentally pushed into movies because, you know, because of poverty. And there she started excelling. Then from there, she accidentally walked into politics, and she excelled there also. So she's somebody who's it's very difficult for others to fill. But it's the same, but in ADMK also. Mr. Karunanidhi, till he is alive, he did not announce Stalin as his successor. Though Stalin was the deputy in the party, but he never announced him as a successor. So it's the legacy, filling the legacy. It may happen. Today, what's happened in ADMK after Amma, I mean Jayalalithaa, she didn't announce anybody. So Sasikala might say, I was living with her for 30 years, so I should claim her legacy. But it doesn't work anyway, because it was the same position as Jayalalithaa. Today, Mr. EPS is in, and he has taken over, and he is excelled. And if you say it's only about governance, and there are caste factors which are playing, which is like, you know, Sasikala and OPS belong to the same caste. I mean, for your information, you know, I'm also from the same caste. But I love EPS, and for me, EPS is the leader. As simple as that.
Okay, so your point is also taken that not for everyone is it about caste and community, but for the AIADMK to go ahead and state that Shashikala is a non-factor is a bit dangerous. They must consider her to be a threat, because there is no doubt, Priyamvada, whether Shashikala is active or not, her family, TTV Dinakaran, the AMMK will look to really tear into the vote base of the AIADMK. That's what they'll be targeting.
Yeah, but to what extent is definitely remains a question. I totally agree with other panelists when they talk about EPS's governance in the last 1.5 years. There is no major talking point for the DMK, I would agree, on any major issue to attack the present government. Of course, anti-incumbency for 10 years is a normal factor, but beyond that, EPS has emerged as a completely different leader than expected. Today, people the opposition do not have any points to attack the chief minister except to say that he betrayed Shashikala. That is again as though the opposition is taking the side of Shashikala, something that TTV Dinakaran or Shashikala should be saying, because he has been handling things quite well, and he seems to be quite active, and end of the day he has managed to keep the party intact and today show the strength of the party cadre here. But having said that, this alone is not enough for the ADMK. It's not just the governance that's going to fetch votes, but end of the day, there are several factors that the ADMK has to deal with. One, of course, the anti-incumbency. Number two, the opposition, the DMK, which has been growing, which is quite strong. Even if you look at the vote percentage, technically, always the difference between DMK and ADMK in Tamil Nadu in every elections has only been 5 to 10%. And in 2016, it was hardly 7%. The gap was very, very less between these two parties. And the third big factor would be if AMK is contesting, whose votes will they be eating into? They will not, the voters who want to vote against DMK would want to vote for ADMK. But if in that same belt, especially the southern belt, even if the caste is not a factor, we know that caste and community plays a major role in the voting pattern, especially in the southern part, Tanjavur, Tiruchi part or Madurai part of Tamil Nadu. These are the places where that particular community might want to vote for the AMK. It's not that the AMK candidate will win or ADMK candidate will win, but the ADMK's vote base is being shifted to AMK is a factor that ADMK cannot afford to lose. And also, let's understand, ADMK is functioning in different strengths. One, EPS is leading one belt of Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
He has been taking his followers in one side, and Mr. OPS has been taking his followers in one side. And bringing all of them together and the party together is today's show that we are seeing today, the show of strength. So beyond governance, it's also the micro factors which is going to matter.
Absolutely. These visuals, while the AIADMK may be speaking about Shashikala not being a factor, about them having no question of her re-entering the party or of her having any role politically speaking, these visuals itself speaks volumes about what the AIADMK really perceives. Perhaps within the camp, they are talking seriously about how to counter the Shashikala factor. And on the day that she's officially been released, thousands of AIADMK workers coming together there in what is nothing short of a mini rally at the Jayalalithaa Memorial by EPS and OPS. I'd like to thank Priyamvada, Mr. Muralidharan and Mr. Narayan Lakshman for joining us on this broadcast. Interesting really what's playing out in Tamil Nadu, and expect it to only get a lot more sensational going forward in the months to come as we count down to the elections in the state. We're slipping into a short break here on India Today. On the other side, more news and updates follow. Stay with us.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.